So continuing this question part D, the first thing I want to do is find out what the speed was, what the velocity was when the force was removed. And so I'm going to be using this information here that we had before to find out what V is. We might as well just use a V squared equals U squared plus 2AS there, haven't we? So I've got 0 plus 2 times 14.4 and S was 28.8. And so the velocity turns out to be actually another 28.8 meters per second. And that's the speed it is when the force is removed. Now, once the force is removed, these two things, they're going to, sorry, it's off the top there, isn't it? They're going to continue moving across to the right, but they're going to slow down. So we need to now find out what their acceleration is. I'll do them separately. So what's going to happen at A? At A, there's nothing pulling it forward anymore. There's just K pulling it back. And so force equals mass times acceleration. The force pulling it backwards is K, which we've got up there, 56.4. The mass for A was 8. And so that tells me that A is going to be decelerating at 7.05 meters per second. We can do B in exactly the same way because actually B has got the same thing. B's got K pulling it back. Force equals mass times acceleration. And the mass this time, though, is 5. And so the acceleration this time is 11.28. Two different ones. So clearly this one's sort of, there's going to be something happening and they're going to be getting closer together. Let's find out how far A travels. So how far? So if we're going how far A travels, it's starting at that 28.8 meters per second. We want to know when it stops moving. I want to know how far it stops moving. And I know the acceleration is minus 7.05 from that bit there. So I'm going to use another V squared equals U squared plus 2AS here, but I've fallen off the bottom of the page, haven't I? I knew I would. Do you mind if I just substitute those in and tell you that that gives that S is going to be 58.8 meters. So A travels another 58.8 meters. And what does B travel? Well, B starts, same thing again, B starts at 28.8. We want to know how far it goes until it stops. But its acceleration is the 11.28 now, the minus 11.28. Another V squared equals U squared plus 2AS. And this tells us that distance is 36.8 meters. This one here travels 36.8 meters. This one here travels that much. You can see the difference between them is that this one is traveling 22 meters more. Remember, the gap between them was only 20 meters. So therefore, they must